One, here we go, here we go, here we go. What is going on, everyone? Thank y'all so much for tuning to another episode of Beyond the Hustle. I'm your host, Daniel
Another one.
Tadamy, and join with me, as always, serial entrepreneur himself, Paul Rene Jr. What is going on, Paul? What is going on? Claps all around. This is episode 5, my man. Episode 5. That is
Maestro, what's
crazy.
up, man?
That is crazy.
Once again, Daniel Tadamy on the one and twos,
Yeah, man.
guiding
Yeah,
us through
man.
another episode. This is episode number 5, and we also have a special guest with us. This guy, he is man amongst men, I should say, combat war veteran. I can't even count how many tours he's been on, but he's definitely a war hero. Perfect example of a leader. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. First sergeant in the United States Army, so he is a leader amongst men. And you're an alpha male. You know you're an alpha male when men look at you for leadership. All right,
Yeah.
when men can acknowledge that you're a valuable member to society and they want to follow your lead, you don't have to call yourself an alpha male. You just definitely are one. All right, this guy is a world traveler. I think I just need to ask him, like, where hasn't he been? Because I call him nomad. He's everywhere. Seriously, he coaches men on how to be men, and also helps businesses with their branding. Um, Exceptional fashion designer. I've got a couple of his shirts and sweaters and hoodies in my closet, and I still need to get some more because he's always updating, his catalog. Uh, Also, not to mention, if I ever forget to have my jack in my car to change my spare tire, I can call this guy up to lift up the car for me because this guy is a beast. I don't know. Can you bench press a ton yet? Introducing Yohance Boulden. All right, I just want to give him a round of
Yohance,
applause
what is going on?
as well as a special guest.
Appreciate you for joining us for this pod, man. I appreciate it. And I had the pleasure
Of course, man.
meeting with you and talking with you a little bit today. Yeah, and you're right. He probably can't bench a ton. I saw his profile
Man.
picture. I said, this dude is jacked, bro.
This is what I'm trying to tell you, man. Like, when I need some motivation, I look at one of his clips or videos, and I'm like, man, I'm not doing enough, man.
Yeah.
I gotta step my game up. This guy, outstanding. I don't know what else to say, but tell us some about yourself, brother. What's going on? I say.
I'm good, man. What's to say about me? I call myself a random enthusiast and an adventurer. Um, I'm always looking to say yes and have a good time, man. That's really it. And the more I can help, the better off I am, and the better off we are.
Well, you are a valuable member of society, and I thank you for your leadership. All right.
Yeah.
This is a safe platform for us to talk about entrepreneurship, the trials and tribulations, the success and the failures. I like to talk to you about Warpath. I became a fan instantly. The design, the quality of the gear is, better than majority of the clothes that I see out there. Where did you get your inspiration to get into that type of field in fashion?
It's an accident. I say a lot of, I guess, quotable things, and or so I've been told. And right near the end of my time in the military, one of my soldiers had basically wrote down a list of all the wild things I said, and I didn't know what to do with it at first. And then I was sitting around probably a year later or something, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start a t-shirt company because I'd already made t-shirts for a couple of events I'd run before, and then I was thinking about clothing and clothing I like and don't like, and I was like, instead of waiting for somebody to make some shit I like, I just was like, I'll make it myself, and that's how we
Yeah.
got started. That's
Dope,
it.
dope. Yeah, the true entrepreneur spirit right there, Daniel. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I can see
yeah.
where there could be improvement in this. So let me just go ahead and do it myself. Right. Outstanding. So how long has it been since you've been out there promoting your branding, your business, and can you give us a little insight on like the website and the name too of your clothesline, please, so that we can put it
Yeah.
out there.
So actually, right now we're our website's down. We're running through the printer that we normally use, just because we're going through some overhaul. Wanted to professionalize some things, but you can find it through our Instagram page. It's we are Warpath, or Warpath Apparel Company on Instagram,
Okay.
and the name came from just coaching. I'd been coaching for a long time, and just kind of always had this like little saying when I was guys, get on the path, make sure you're getting on the path, make sure you're doing it right, you know. And what I noticed is, as I would coach, and I would say that, the guys that I would coach would start saying it, right? And they would be telling guys like, "Hey man, you ain't on the path. You need to get it right," or just some variation of something like that. And
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
so when I was sitting around thinking about, a name, I was like, well, what does this really look like, man? And it's just like, this is the warpath. This is just what you do every day to get right. And it sounds probably way more serious than it is, but or it can be that serious. But that's just all it was about. It was just about the fact that I kind of already had a inline with it, and the fact that one of the things that I want for myself and for the people around me is to make sure that they're always getting straight, doing the right thing, whatever that looks like. So staying on the path, getting on the path, and living on the path.
Yeah,
Warpath.
I want to talk about you a little bit more. I know one of the mottos that you've had too was, find your tribe or follow your tribe. It makes people feel like, they're involved with your brand, which is outstanding. It seems like it's much more geared to like sports enthusiasts or guys that want to hit it in the gym and redefine what direction that they are in. And yeah, those the clothes, the shirts, or whatever, they do have some nice tags on them, some verbiage on them that is very deep, and that's another thing about Hanse is, if you ever want to engage in a deep philosophical conversation, this is the guy to go to, and brainstorm into, and almost about anything, this is the guy to go to. So yeah, people should definitely reach out to you for some type of coaching, or even just for you know getting their mindset where it needs to be. I mean, you figure, being a first sergeant in the military, you've dealt with a lot of soldiers where you had to get them on the right mindset in order to get the job done. So yeah, you definitely are a leader amongst men, and I just want to give you a good pat on the back, for that, because you do motivate me. If not anybody else, you do motivate me, especially in the gym shots. What's that like, man? How did you get to that point? I think I've seen some of your videos where you've done a lot of what competition out there, what deadlift competitions and stuff like that. Have
Yeah,
you
I've
want to tell
competed in powerlifting and bodybuilding since about 2015. Before that, it was a lot of jujitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and just kind of whatever I could get my hands into, man. I've done a little bit of everything. I ran a couple marathons, walked 50 miles with a pack on. But powerlifting and bodybuilding have kind of been the last frontiers I've really been a part of since then. And then, it's fun, man. It's been an experience. The more I do this stuff, the more I realize what I'm really doing is trying to figure out like what I am on that backside of it, like what I am when it's over. You know, the competition's fun. They're cool, but if you really look at it, right, like the competition only lasts a couple minutes, an hour, depending on what you're into. So it's not really
Yeah.
about the competition. It's about like what it makes you.
It seems like you just focus on people just pushing themselves to be a better version of themselves, and
Yeah.
that
I mean,
that's what
I think I think that's what it's about. I mean, like it's one thing to mold and shape yourself, right? To mold and shape yourself, we can do that in a variety of ways. But one of the things that I've come to find is like, um, as you're molding yourself physically, like you have no choice but to change mentally, right?
Outstanding.
It
Yeah, it's the
one
truth,
doesn't
right?
come
It's
without the other.
connected. It's connected.
Yeah,
Mind and body's connected, right? Yeah, I get it.
That's
and so
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Say what you're about to say. I was about to say that's kind of dope what you're saying because it goes into the topic. But go ahead, finish your thought.
No, so I was just saying it's one of those things where, like, a lot of times I think from the zoom out position, from the macro, when you're looking at it, you can just think like, oh, this guy's a meathead, or this guy's this, or this person's that. But what you tend to find when you start reaching whatever level that is, no matter what the endeavor is, especially physically, like those are usually people who have some level of depth to them. Because what you start to realize is like you can't hit the next gear unless you do devote something to your mental capacity.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
that's
so,
and that's funny that you say that because what we're talking about tonight and what we wanted to kind of focus on was the investment piece, you know, investing in yourself, investing in your business, your brand, and whatever it is that you're doing. It's going to take some type of investment. And hearing you say that, it just made me think about that. And I said, bro, that's kind of cool because I was thinking of a segue and you hit it on the head. That goes into investing in who you are as a person. And it takes that. And one of the things that when I was researching what kind of investment was for this topic, I was prepping for it. It brought up the concept of investing in your future, delaying instant gratification for something that's better. And that's all you're doing when you are investing in anything that you do. So I kind of want to hear what, and then, you guys can kind of go back and forth about that. Like the concept of delaying gratification for something better, right? From a business standpoint, personal standpoint, even a relation standpoint, right? You're going to have to invest. So talk a little bit to that point.
Well, I can tell you off of me. Now, I rather, hear Hanse talk. Like I said, I like listening to what goes on with him. But
Yeah,
I can tell
yeah.
you that for me, though, when I had the vision of starting my own businesses, um, I would, sit aside whenever my friends would want to go out and party and hit the clubs and all that. Because, I had a vision of where I wanted to be in the future. And I was making sure that I took care of my future self at that time, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about what we're doing right now is preparing us for the future. So I didn't really see anything beneficial for me partying, all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, I did, some partying, but I like to, take that weekend off, that Friday, that Saturday, that Sunday after work, where everybody's going and grabbing drinks and stuff or going out partying, hitting the clubs. I used to like to go ahead and I invested in myself and educated myself in the fields that I wanted to grow in. Because I do think the best and sometimes the least expensive um, investment you can do is investing in yourself, and that can go from many different ways. When you find out what your weaknesses are, you go ahead and work at it. So that you can turn your weakness into a good competing factor. So, but yeah, Hanse, what's your thoughts on that?
um, I mean, man, like I'm a big fan. I heard it. I don't remember where I heard it, man. But the guy said he's more interested in investing in the S&P 500 than the S&P 500, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Exactly.
I can't resonate with anything stronger than that. Because um, I'd rather bet on me and double
Mm-hmm.
down on me and the skills and things that are going to take to make me a better businessman, a better man, a better lover, a better partner, a better friend, because they all pay dividends in the end, right? Um,
Yeah.
and some of those things are courses, some of those things are college, some of those things are, they are like tangible things. And then other times those things are, better health, better communication, anything that you can really expand the gamut on, man, and it's worth doing. I know for me, it's spent a lot of time reading, writing, making sure I can articulate myself, making sure that I can walk into a room with damn near any person and be able to have a conversation, right? Because those are skills that you can't necessarily just acquire from a book or from a course, right? Being able to relate to a person who maybe we at surface level we don't have anything in common with,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think
Can't get it
that
off
those
Amazon, right?
investments, yeah, you can't get it off Amazon, but at the same time too, like people talk about it, like you can teach a lot of skills that people will tell you are intangible. Like you can teach charisma. Like you can't necessarily make it authentic, but I can make sure that you understand how to be a charismatic human, right? I can make sure that um, we know how to hold people's attention, and that when I'm out in the world, right, like maybe I pick up a magazine and I read about, I don't know, petunias and gardening, and then when I walk into that meeting and that person has a garden, I can be like, oh man, and I can relate that to each other, and so I think all those things are part of the whole thing, man. And then like for me, like I said, like the physical aspects, this is also a thing that I learn. Um, the more and harder I push myself, right, I find my edges, and sometimes those edges are as simple as I've been tired before.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be tired again, right? How many times have we all been out at like 2, 3 a.m. doing something, chasing some woman or doing whatever, and
Ain't
then
got no
when it comes
business
to do your
doing.
work, yeah, something you ain't got no business doing, or maybe you do,
Exactly.
Hey, there it
you
is.
know,
That
Eh,
part.
and and then at the end when it's like when you do that, it comes time to do some work, and then you go, oh, I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yep.
Right,
Right,
right.
right,
Yep.
right. But you had the energy then. But and then if we're sitting down talking, when I'm talking to one of my homeboys, like even Paul and I have had these conversations, like you know, you've done worse.
Yep.
We've been here before. I've been tired before. I'll be tired again. I've been hungry before. I'll be hungry again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think all of those things are super important. And the more you can kind of invest in those aspects, it's also a way to know yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things you can do is know yourself, because that way I know how to handle myself in situations. I know how to handle myself in this business meeting. Am I the kind of person who gets cranky if I don't eat? If am I the kind of person who operates better at 7 a.m.? So that way, when I'm controlling everything, right? If I control
Yep.
my calendar, I control my life, then I know how to set it up. So
I
that's the way I
think
look at it.
I think with that points a lot too, even when it comes to knowing yourself and being able to, be in a room confidently is developing some type of confidence. And a lot of times that comes with playing to your strengths. Sometimes we have to figure out what we're great at. And even in places where we're not so great, you know, develop ways to kind of turn it back to your strength. Right. And then if you don't know, you just say you don't know something, right? If a topic goes someplace else. But that's something that I had to learn even within myself, was finding out where my confident areas were and then playing to that. And then if I didn't know something, okay, yeah, try to find ways to find it out or surround yourself with people that know it, you know? And then that way you begin to grow confident in that area. Um, and I think we talked about it before, Paul, too. I want to get to the investment side of things too. When it comes to the financial investment and what a lot of people that may be watching this, or something that you hear a lot of people say, they don't have the money to invest. Or when it comes to what you just were saying earlier, Jans, um, Yohance, I, I'm gonna try not to mispronounce your name, bro. And if
You're
I get
good.
it
You're
wrong,
good.
just stop me.
You're good.
But people say they don't have time to invest. So what would you guys say to counteract that? I don't have the money to invest. I don't have the time to invest. Or dealing with the issues with investing, and a lot of people just say they don't have what it takes to invest in that at that time. You can answer that first,
Yeah.
Man,
Paul.
So I would say if you don't have the money to invest, which is usually something that comes up all the time with people who want to start their own business. They're saying, "Hey, I don't have the money to invest." I'd say just invest in yourself again, like Hansei said, the SME 500, which is dope. Um, a very excuse me, a very successful friend of mine. I call him Big Homie. He told me one thing. He said, "Hey man, I don't know everything, but I try to learn a little bit about everything. That way, I can go into any room and be able to have a conversation with people in the room because being successful or in business, you can catapult yourself just by who you know, right? So just to be able to come to some type of common ground with the people that you're having a conversation with, it really can step you ahead of the game and get your foot in the door with whatever you're trying to do. And you can also, uh, you know, open that door and then let people know what business that you're in or whatever product or service that you have, and then see if they're willing to be a part of it. But yeah, that's my insight. I'd like to hear what Conte has to say though about the topic though.
I mean, so I'm always questioning when people when one, it's always ask better questions, get better answers, right?
Mm.
And so that's the first thing. But what I would say is when people say they don't have enough time, I'm going to start asking like, well, how much do you want this, right? And again, it goes back to like, I've been tired before. If you're willing to be tired, then like you may or may not have time. There's also this idea that like we have to have big blocks of time and big chunks of time, and sometimes you just got to hack away at something, right?
Yeah.
A little bit at a time, right? Like everybody wants the perfect amount of time to work out, but sometimes you only got 20 minutes, right? Sometimes you want to sit down and read the whole book and you only got 2 pages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're consistently knocking that out, I mean that's what you're doing. You're moving forward, and progress is progress, and that's what you want. And then as far as like the money thing, right? Like same thing here, man. Like um, what I would tell you, this is what the advice I just got done telling my oldest girl. She's making money, and she's like, I want to make more money. And so she's like, well, I'm going to go back to school to make more money, or I'm going to go get this certification. And I was like, that's dope, and that's a very long term way to approach it. But you know the easiest way to make more money that no one ever talks about?
What's that?
Work more.
Mm.
It's weird, right? Like if you
Simple
need
and to
more
the
money
point.
right now, like there's a lot of ways to get more money. I'm not saying it's glamorous. I'm not saying it's fun. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that like. So here's a good one. I found myself in this position to lead a group of men or curate a group of men or women for hunting trips in Australia. So 2 or 3 times a
Oh,
year, we take we take 4 people to Australia. We go hunting and whatever. And so one of the guys that's on this next hunting trip, he's a average wage worker. He's not balling out of control, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But he's making it happen. It's not a cheap trip, but he's making it happen. You know, he's making it happen. He's picking up extra shifts. He's doing a little bartending. You know, he's who knows what else. You know, those are the ones I know about. Maybe he's walking dogs. Who knows, man? You know, maybe he's driving Uber. Um, it's just I just know that if I want something, the valley between me and that goal isn't going to be for long.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
yeah, yeah. You could just see that there is a correlation in values amongst entrepreneurs,
yeah.
hardworking. Whether it's working 3 jobs just to get that goal done, accomplished. Um, yeah, that's the mark of an entrepreneur. We're hard workers from the core. We see things that in the market that can be done better, and we try to make it better, for people out there. I like that. I forgot to mention he's a safari hunter over here, man. He'll take
Yeah,
you
he
on
did mention
some
that.
safari tours, and and
Yeah.
and and I don't even think he uses a gun. He uses like a crossbow for it, right? And what's the thing?
He
Like this
just
is
he he
this is
just
this is
he
what he
just dropped
does.
that.
Like
He
it's
dropped that so
outstanding,
casual
man.
too. He dropped that so casual
uh,
too. Yeah, Australia hunting
Yeah, he
safari.
does.
Like that ain't
He does.
nothing.
And I'm tempted. I'm
uh,
tempted to go over there, man. Because what this next you said it's in Australia, right? Man, how is it
Yeah,
like
yeah.
out there in Australia, out in the outback?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I had a blast. It was my first time. It was just last June. It was my first bow hunt, and
Wow.
I figured if I was gonna do it, what a way to do it would be to just go big, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so went over and was bow hunting with this guy who's is just full of knowledge, right? So I learned a lot in a 1 week period, and I can't say enough about it, man. But for me, that's the stuff I like. It's the stuff I want. It's the stuff I'm interested in. Some people are interested in cars, and don't get me wrong, I like all that stuff. But I'm more interested in collecting experiences, moments, and memories. And what better way than to go over there to a place I've never been to and experience that way, full immersion. In one of the wildest places in the world.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Um, we're gonna take a break right now. Paul, I think you know what we're about to take a break for. Yohance,
Yes.
I explained it to you a little bit earlier. I'm gonna go through the rules again. But right now we're about to pause in the conversation to play a little game that I like to play called Keep It or Return to Sender. Now, with this game, right? With this game, I'm gonna say a couple things, and you tell me whether we should keep it or return to sender. All right,
All right.
painless enough, right? So the first one here is public schools. Keep it or return to sender.
Whew.
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right, I'm mixed. I have mixed thoughts about that because,
Yeah, I'm
I
half and
did.
half, man.
Yeah, I did the private school myself. You did too, Daniel, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, we missed out on being able to, you know, integrate into the rest of society and see what else, there is out there, which isn't really a good, true, um, indication of what the demographics is when you isolate yourself outside of the public sector. But then on the other hand, you get better education, in the private sector than in the public sector, and much more, your teaching is much more individualized,
yeah.
and they focus much more on the student, and you're not just a random number. So
Hmm.
I'm mixed. I got mixed. Wow, that's a tough one. I'd
Public
say keep
schools.
it.
Yeah.
I'd say keep it. I'd say keep it. Let's
Keep
keep
it.
it.
Uh,
Keep it.
I I say keep
Yeah.
it just for sheer numbers, man. Um,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my thought is a bit different. Like one of the things I've really been thinking a lot about lately are the things that we never learn
Mm,
in school that we should learn. And I don't mean the ones that people typically say, right? Like financial literacy. We absolutely should be learning that in school and everything else. But I'm thinking like there's just these things that I've learned now, especially in some of these groups and stuff that I've traveled in, that I wish there was a way to quantify and talk about and learn early, or just like the ideas that became popular to me when I was older, when I was younger, and they were brought up in school. I just didn't care, you know. Or even the idea, like here's one I just kind of sussed out with my children and myself is like, um, I'm not bad at math. I just had a bad attitude,
Mhm.
I like
right?
that. I
You know
like
what I'm
that.
saying? Like, turns out I'm actually good at math and I can do it in my head. But it just turns out I didn't want to, or I didn't like it, or I didn't like the teacher. Who knows?
Yeah,
So
You
those
just
are the
didn't
things that I
display in
think
the
about.
grades, right?
yeah. I think it's
Yeah,
tough.
you know.
I think public school is tough in that regard because you can't. It's so massive. It's so many. You can't give that care to everything. But I think that's anything. There's too many people.
But what's up? Have you guys seen some of those videos from what these kids are learning over there in China, though? Like they teach them
So
everything. They teach them home ec. They teach them
Oh
finances.
yeah,
They teach them, sports, and you name it. They're like way ahead of us in the lower grade levels, and kids in college. I just don't get it. Like, and that's one of the things, to reiterate what you said. Yeah, I think public schools should be done. I think it's relevant, and I think there's things that should be taught in public schools.
Improved upon.
Uh, yeah, that
Yeah.
that isn't taught right now.
Well,
they should invest more on the
here,
people. By
here's a quick pushback on that, real quick though. Um, be wary that we say that they're learning more and doing more because they're not innovative. They steal what we do and they make it better, and they don't even make it better.
Yeah,
They just typically make it cheaper. So that means that you can't manufacture innovation
Yeah.
through curriculum.
Yeah.
That's what we've learned, right? Two, there's a big push right now for people to say there's all these things that we should learn, but then if you really think about it, right, unless you have certain degree, I said degree, but I should say jobs. There's certain things that really aren't they don't apply to you. So why are you learning it, right? It's like
yeah,
you're learning algorithms because it changes the way you think,
Mm.
right? You learn music not because you're going to become a musician, but because it helps you in recognizing patterns and how you think,
Yeah.
right? And I
right.
think we often forget that those are the things, the intangibles that we don't talk about, right?
Yeah.
It's like philosophy, right? People will quickly write off philosophy, but then when you go to it, and what's the purpose of philosophy, right? It's to lead a better life. If not, then all it is a collection of words that sound nice. So,
That's it.
and so
That's dope.
so I just want, for me, it's a remembrance, man, because I remember like being a kid and being a kid who was arrogant, frankly, right? Really arrogant about school because I was like, I know this already.
Wow.
But then actually getting around big brains and being like, oh, you ain't shit.
I, I
Yeah,
missed it.
yeah,
I want to get
yeah.
into this. I got another one. And this one, I put this one on the list because of what just happened, right? We just had it. So I wanted to see what y'all thought about it.
Uh
The
oh.
Electoral College. Keep it or return it,
Oh,
son.
okay.
I'm going to be nice.
I
I'm going to be nice.
get rid of it.
The
Get
Electoral
rid of it.
College.
keep
I
it.
think the popular
Keep
vote should be the
keep
relevant vote, in
keep
my
it.
opinion.
Keep it.
Why? How come?
Keep it.
How come?
So, electoral college or popular vote, right? Name the five biggest cities in America.
5
The
biggest
five what?
cities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, I would say
New
New York.
York,
Yep.
Manhattan area, Los Angeles,
Los
Okay.
Chicago.
Angeles.
Is Houston one?
It's probably top
Um,
10. I don't think it's top five, but it's probably top 10.
what else? Which ones
All
am I
right.
missing?
So
I'm about to look
so
it up right
regardless of that,
now.
right?
I'm about to look it
So
up right
let's
now.
think about that. We'll just use those three. What does that have to do with me if I live in Arizona?
Not true.
Why do you
Nothing.
why do you get to decide how I feel federally because of what happens in Arizona?
I get it. I get it.
But
Those
we
states
can
get
even go
money.
nightmare scenario, right? What if the top three cities are all populated by bigoted, racist people who hate insert whatever?
And I think that that's why they did the Electoral College. So if we're talking about large cities, is New York, Houston, San Antonio, San Jose. Well, you got New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Philly,
Yeah.
Phoenix, San Antonio, San Diego, Dallas, Jacksonville
So
is up
tech,
there.
so
But
Texas and California decide the election essentially.
Because I mean, yeah, because you got
basically.
yeah,
Well, but here's my objection, though. Here's the reason why I don't like the electoral vote is because they don't have to choose that candidate even if they win the popular vote. So it kind of
They're supposed
makes
to.
the
Well, they're
popular vote
supposed to
irrelevant.
choose. They choose the votes that essentially the popular vote not their industry, damn, their state or region or whatever. No, they
Yeah.
don't have to. Yes, but that's what they're essentially doing
So it
and
makes
have
the
done for
popular
the
vote
last.
irrelevant. It makes whoever's in charge of the electoral vote the deciding factors of who wins in that state. So that's why I disagree with it. But I get what you're saying as
It,
far as population goes.
it
It does
could.
have an important.
Well, the other thing I'll tell you too is this, right? think about all the people in this inner cities that don't vote. Or when I went to Montana, not that I mean, I love the state of Montana. It's actually beautiful, but I had an epiphany when I was talking to one of the locals out there, right?
Hmm.
And he was talking about how he has zero interaction with the federal government. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, closest DMV is 3 hours away. I don't see federal law enforcement, so it's not that. It's not TSA, it's not that. So what do I know about federal government? And I just thought it was an interesting perspective that I never ever considered, right? Like there's certain places in the US where you just don't meet or see federal anything with the
I
exception
never
of the
even thought
Postal
about that.
Service.
Yeah, man. See, well, that's because you travel all over the place and you see things differently than everybody else. I never
He
thought
be seeing a
about it
lot.
like that. Yeah, there is a
Well,
lots of land out there, huh? Lots and lots of
one
land,
of the
more than we,
one of the things as
more
a
than we.
plug for traveling is I'll tell you this, man. Like the two things I think of, or three things I've been blessed with as a human, right?
Mhm.
One is my ability to suffer. Two is the fact that I've traveled so much, and the third one is because my I won't say friendships because not everybody's your friend, but my acquaintances and people I know are such a shared, diverse group that it allows me a really good insight on what is actually happening versus what we think is happening. You know, it's called local consensus policy. You ever heard of this?
Never heard of that.
No.
What is that?
So that's like the idea that because your local consensus, right, like in your neighborhood, your friend group, whatever, that makes
Yeah.
you realize, makes you think that like that's the way it is for everybody,
Yep.
The
right?
world is like how it is in your neighborhood. In other words.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Okay.
if you look at it, you're talking about election, right? Not to go too deep, but that's why like certain folks couldn't see what was happening.
Yep. Hey man, I got some more to go through, but hey, I was gonna say it.
Yeah, I mean that's just you know my
Yeah.
plug for travel. Go travel.
It's the whole social media thing. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's true. That's what I say. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's true.
That's also true. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that.
Uh, what are you gonna say before I say this third one? What are you gonna say to that?
I agree with you, but I would, and I hate this. So I'm not agreeing with it in principle. I'm agreeing with it in the fact that like after there is a certain amount of people who agree with something that's not true that makes it true,
I see what
right?
you're saying.
And
So we're changing
I hate that.
definitions now.
Yeah, well, so like it's I mean a perfect example is definitions, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
how often do we see the gaslight, narcissist? I mean, psychology.com is probably the ruin of most words. Um, now these words mean what we want them to mean. They don't mean what they
Yeah,
actually mean anymore.
yeah.
And so, and
But it's
that's
fact
purely off.
because it's there. It's
Yeah,
facts though
it's
because it's there. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
purely
Now,
off of
now, now we
a
have like
popular basis.
127, 127 genders or so and counting.
I,
Because
wa-
it's in that
I
book,
I was
right?
gonna
So
stay
it's
away from
facts.
that because I don't want to get canceled. But I was gonna say
Oh
that the
yeah,
gender
my
and
fault.
definitions. Hey man, whatever, bro.
We're not
Let's
gonna
get
make it
canceled.
to episode 6. Is that what you saying?
But I don't even care. But that it is what it is. And Oksana, she said well-rounded perspective. Johan said she was like the word toxic. The word
Yeah,
toxic.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
so
Toxic
Paul's heard my
masculinity.
rant.
What is that?
Yeah,
He's heard my
yeah.
rant on this. Well, two things, right? Or no, maybe it's one. If something's ill defined, it's not real.
If something's ill-defined, it's not real.
Yeah, right. So, if like from a coaching perspective, I coach people sometimes, and they'll say like, "Well, I'll do this when I deserve it." And so then the very next
Mm.
question is, when will you deserve it?
Wow.
What does deserve mean? And if you can't answer that, then it's just an ethereal concept, right? And what it also means is that I can just pick and choose the days I do and do not deserve it. And most
Wow.
people being negative, they'll just default to negative early,
Mm.
right? Oh,
They
I don't
might as well
deserve it
say they're
today.
not going to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's what it is.
What if you go to like,
But
okay, what if you replace deserve with the word earn? Do that. I want to earn that or
so
work
again,
towards it.
I could care less as long as it's defined. And what I mean by that is
Gotcha.
like, um, do you earn that after 10, 20, 30?
Mm,
Because right, if you're shooting at everything, you're shooting at nothing,
mm,
right? And that's kind of my point on it. It's just like people, if something's ill defined, it means nothing. So like toxic or toxic masculinity, you
yeah, I
can't get a
hate
real
that.
definition out of it. You can't
I
get a real
hate that
definition out of it.
phrase.
But but not, and that's not to say there are not bad men in the world, but like
Right.
for years the word asshole sufficed.
Right, right, exactly.
Right? For
Yeah.
years the word jerk sufficed.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I
Um,
carry that label.
you know,
Oh yeah. I think I still
Yeah,
carry it.
yeah, for real.
um,
But right,
and so I'm just always really curious as a guy, as a guy who's a lover of words and philosophy, man. I'm wondering like, well, what does this mean to you, right? Which irritates people, but it's one of those things where I'm always just curious. So what does that mean? Define that for me, right? And if
But
the
right.
definition moves, so then where's the line?
I like
It's
that.
okay. It's okay to reward yourself if you have a goal set, to earn something.
Yeah.
But again, like Hase said, you have to be specific for that goal. At least it has a realistic perspective if you're going to be able to attain it. I do that a lot. That goes back to what you were talking about, delayed gratification. I'm a big, you know, user of delayed gratification.
Yeah.
I'll uh, delay certain things that I want, set up some goals for myself, like
Yeah.
on the sales tip. Hey, if I get a sale this month, then I'll go ahead and buy X, Y, and Z. I do that all the time. Um, Instead of, even though that I have the money for it, I can buy it right now. But I don't want to do that. I rather hit this goal and
Yeah.
then get it. It makes it much more satisfying to myself, and I don't see anything wrong with that. But to say, I'm not going to do it until I earn it, and then not have a specific goal in mind, that I don't think that's attainable in my opinion.
That's keeping it
But
Well,
realistic.
yeah,
yeah, you just see people short circuit themselves with it, and not everybody does it. But my thing is like a lot of people are built in. Well, not every. I think everybody has the built-in what I call the critic or the judge, right?
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's got the one character or that one voice in their head that says, "You messed up. You did this wrong. You blah blah blah." But a lot of people are missing what I call a cheerleader. They're missing the one that gives you credit for what you do right. The one that says like, "Hey man, good job. Maybe we should reward ourselves."
Yeah.
Or they feel funny, saying it out loud,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm a proponent of saying it out loud, man. Right? Like we have a shirt called that says "fuck humble." And it rubs a lot of people the wrong
Hey,
oh,
I
I
way.
think I
like
may
that.
grab that
I
one.
need that. I need that in my closet. I need.
Yeah,
I think I may grab that
yeah.
one.
Well, so like
Man,
again, like because I like definitions and I like playing. I'm not great at it. I don't think anybody is. But the more precise we are with our language, the better off we are. Right? The more I can articulate myself, the more I can get my point across, the more I can have to apologize less. We'll say. Right, and
yeah,
the more I'm able to get what I want. Because
Yeah.
if you're a businessman, you're a salesman, you're a relationship guy, 90% of your problems are all through communication. So if
Mm.
you can really understand it, right, and really get to it, then that's a thing, right? But the problem is communication's art. It's not science as much as we
Yep.
want it to be,
Yep.
right?
It's an art form
And
to it.
everybody likes different art.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
yeah.
go figure.
Dude, you can't.
I'm I'm gonna Oksana said she said yay and inner cheerleader. I like that. Yeah, I like that. And this happened a while ago and I didn't get to say it, but Ephraim, appreciate the stars, man. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Uh so I'm gonna go through these really quick, right? And then for the sake of time, just say keep it or return to sender. All right. We're gonna go through it really
Got it.
quickly.
Yep.
Square pizza, keep it, return to sender.
Return.
Keep it.
Square pizza. SpongeBob SquarePants. God, I hate that show. That's just my personal thing.
Return to
You
sender.
return again. Yeah, I'll return it too.
Pick one reoccurring bill and keep it or return to sender. So just pick one. Tell me what your bill is, the reoccurring bill that you want to keep or return to sender. Let me know what it is.
Insurance,
My
return to sender.
Netflix subscription.
Netflix.
Yeah, my Netflix. I'll do that.
Mine was rent, man. I'll return that to sender, bro.
What was yours, Jose?
Insurance.
Insurance.
Insurance? Yeah, definitely.
I
Definitely.
mean, y'all don't beat me up, man. Out there, the people listening, the DC Comics franchise, keep it or return to sender.
Oh man, keep
Return
it.
to
How
sender.
dare you?
Return to
Yeah,
sender.
return to sender.
What? Batman all day? Nah, man, I'm about to hang up on y'all. How y'all gonna do that to Batman and Joe, man?
They messed up too many
And I think
times.
what
They messed up
is
too
it?
many
Is
times.
it the Punisher? Punisher's on DC too. What do you mean?
No, Punisher's Marvel. Punisher's Marvel.
Is he?
Marvel.
He's on
Here's the
Marvel?
deal. I'm gonna change your mind about it real quick. You can't have a good movie or show without good villains. There's no good villains other than Bane and Joker in DC.
You
Joker
may
is
be
all about
right,
DC
bro.
though. Like you can't have Batman without the Joker. You're
But
right.
that's what he's
No,
saying.
that's again. That's what I'm saying.
That's the only thing holding DC down. I give you that. But
There's
you can't
all the
take away
villains are from
Batman.
like the 1950s. Like I'm scared of a question mark man.
Hold up.
The Riddler. Yeah.
Yeah.
You may be right.
You got Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor, you can't. Come on now. How y'all gonna just leave Lex Luthor out of
But
it?
if we're talking about a
Lex
good villain, he got a point.
villain,
Like
Lex Luthor, he bald head, what he got? He rich?
I would probably say I'll probably add one on there, and I think Apocalypse. Apocalypse is DC, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So I would probably say outside of that, because Apocalypse is just a Thanos ripoff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Dang, you may be right, bro.
And then you got
DC,
Wolverine.
They're villains.
You got Wolverine, right?
That's Marvel.
That's Marvel.
See, you naming all Marvel, bro. Return DC, dog.
Taking them all. Marvel's.
You naming all Marvel, bro.
You can't do it. They got bad villains.
We got one more, right? I don't know how this is gonna sound. One more, the Olympics.
I like the Olympics. Keep it.
Keep it.
Keep it.
It's competition right there, man. Competition is where it's that Darwinism right there. The strong, only the strong survive, and you get to. I think healthy competition is awesome, man. It helps you become the best you, especially when you're around guys that want to push you to being the best you too, and that's what it's all about. Having that team that pushes you to help you be the best you, and then collectively you guys are the best going out there. So yeah. Keep it.
I guess so. All right. Well, thank y'all so much. That was Keep It or Return to Sender. It took us a while to get through that one. But you brought us some really good points, man, throughout that way. So Oksana says, keep the Olympics. Yeah, I was just asking. Don't come for me. I was just asking. And return SpongeBob immediately. Yeah, SpongeBob can go, man. I think, what we're talking about when we talk about investment, just to get back on topic for a second, when we talk about investing, for me and for, you guys, let me know what you think about this. The whole entire point or focus with the investing is at the end of all of, what we invest in within our health, within our finances, beauty, because that matters. That's an investment too, especially you're going to be out in front of everybody. You want to invest on that, right? You want to invest on your health. You want to invest on the way you look, your appearance, and all that type of things. It's all about building that legacy and what we're going to leave behind. We don't want to get to the end of ourselves, our lives, and we don't have too much to show for it. So it's all on legacy building. And if you need a carrot on a stick to motivate you for investing, just think about your legacy. Think about what you're building and what you're going to leave behind, because that matters.
It does.
Yeah, that really matters. So I want to hear what you got to say about. There's one more thing I want to get into, but before we get on that, what do you say Or what do you think about legacy and building the legacy, and what motivates you, I guess, to continue investing in who you are, Yohance, into the legacy that you're building and what you want to leave behind?
Oh man, I probably don't think about legacy in the traditional way. Um, I think it matters. I want to leave a lot for my son and my daughters, my sons and my daughters. Uh, but the way I think of it is, a couple years ago, I adopted this idea that has served me probably better than 90% of the things I've ever talked about, and it's the idea that I would rather be proud than happy.
Mm, wow.
And
I agree.
because ever since I've done this, and because dude, a cookie will make you happy, right? Right. A late night tryst with the wrong woman will make you happy temporarily. Um, there's a lot of things that'll make you happy instantly, instant gratification, and it typically doesn't end well. Um, but the things that make me proud, the things that make my children proud of me, the thing that makes my lady proud of me, the things that makes my parents proud of me, and the things that make me proud of me are the things that they add up long term, right? They go down in history. Those are the things I can carry with me. Also, when you talk about confidence, these are also the things that also help me build confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the things that I do is I stole it. I don't remember what the guy called it. It's actually had a formal name, but I call it living life backwards. And I have my 85-year-old self that I talk to. And so what do I want at 85? When I'm 85 years old, what do I want to be able to say? What do I want to be able to do?
Yeah.
What do I want? What do I want people to say about me? And
Mm,
so that's how I kind of attack that like legacy piece. Is it's like when I'm 85, I want to die empty. I want to have given as much as I can give. When I'm 85, I want to be able to know that my kids are happy, healthy, productive uh, members of a family. That they're
yeah.
also willing to shoulder a load and carry it for the people. So those are the things that I'm more interested in. And when it comes to legacy, I think it's important for me to like, you know, all the typical legacy things, but I also am a firm believer, and this probably sounds, kind of shitty, but like 4 generations, I'm a wisp,
You
right?
ain't lying. Yeah.
One of the things I do like about social media is that my whisper is louder because you can go see what I actually was,
Yeah.
but I'm
Hmm.
still a whisper. And so it's more about like that. How do I make that whisper reverberate through my family as long as possible, even if they don't know why,
Mm,
right?
wow.
You know, the thing I do for my daughters is the thing that they do for their daughters, is the thing that their daughters, and it continues. They have no clue why,
Yeah.
but instead of it being like this generational trauma we talk about, it's the opposite,
Yeah.
right? And so that's more of what I'm concerned about because, like every young man, like, or when I was a young man, I made a boatload of mistakes, and
As you should.
you know, well, it's not where wisdom comes from, but it's a part of wisdom, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And so getting there is a thing, right? My father always used to tell me that the difference between being smart and wise was like smart people learn from their mistakes, and wise men learn from others' mistakes,
Right.
Learning from the mistakes of others. Yeah.
right? And so I wasn't very wise at points in time. So
Ah,
but anyways, that's how I look at legacy, man. As I look at it like right now at 42, how do I make how does 42-year-old me make 85-year-old me
yeah.
proud?
Yeah.
So
That's actually kind of slick. Um, I wanted to bring up the last speaking point, and then I wanted to run off a list of the common pitfalls to avoid. Right, but we're gonna get to that later. But I wanted to ask this last question: the fear. Well, one reason that I would say, that I think, and I want to hear what you both have to say about this. People may sometimes be afraid of investing, right? Or feel guilty for investing, especially when they have like children or relationships, right? Because investing time, you're not investing in your relationship. You're not spending time with your children, your wife, or whoever you're talking to at that time. You're afraid to invest this money because we're going to miss out on XYZ. So, what do you have to say to the person that may be struggling or maybe stagnant, be dealing with investing, know that they have to invest whatever it is, but they're just afraid because of guilt? So I believe guilt sometimes will keep us from doing what we know we need to do, or even what we want to do. One person I always use as an example when I'm speaking to people is Kobe Bryant with the Mamba mentality, and how we talked about it before here, Paul. How sometimes you have to be obsessed with what it is that you want and what you're doing in order to grow, become better at it. Almost to see what you want to see those results. So I don't want to ramble on, but what do you have to say to that person that may be struggling with that part?
I don't know if it's guilt. It's just it's probably just taking that risk, right? If you're going to be investing in something, and you're worried about, oh man, the family might suffer if it doesn't go right. Yeah, that's just the risk of that investing. So I would say, and what I like to do is, and I've been there, having a family to take care of, but I have this investment right there. It's going to take all of what I have plus my savings in order to get it, but I still have a family to feed. Should I do it? Should I not? Um, it didn't make me guilty for doing it. It was just taking that risk and knowing, like, man, if this fails or goes wrong, then um, I'm going to be in deep water. But so I would suggest, to make calculated risks. I took a calculated risk. I seen, you know, what's the chance of this failing, and if it looked like it's the possibility is greater for me to succeed than to fail, then I'm gonna take that risk because I'm always gonna bet on myself. All right. And if I did fail, I'm not going to feel guilty of it. I'm going to just learn from it. But again, it comes with calculated risk, right? I knew when I made, like, say, because it brings me to this one investment in particular. I knew when I was going to invest in this real estate property, it's going to take everything out of my account to get it. But I knew within 2 months or so, I'm gonna be right back on my feet. It's gonna turn around for me, and it's gonna, produce what I need to do. So, what should I do within these 2 months that
Yeah,
I'm gonna be, you know, I'm all my funds are gonna be gone. What am I gonna do during these 2 months? So they came to what Hanse said. I just worked harder. I worked harder. I made that investment. It was a calculated risk. I wasn't guilty of it. I knew it was going to work. And in that meantime, and when I see, before I seen that money come back, I just worked and worked and worked. Put my head down and um, got to it.
got
So
it done. What do you say about that, Johannes?
Hmm. I mean, I'm probably in the same boat, man. Just being easy, an easy answer is like you calculated risk is one thing, right? Taking the last $400 that's going to keep your kids from eating is different. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we're talking two different games. I don't know why you would feel guilty for the opposite. Now, if you took the last $400, that's a different thing. Um, the other thing I would say is like a lot of times in order to grow, you got to let go, right? And I hate that it rhymes, but that's just the truth. And so letting go of some of these old behaviors and old habits and things are just they're hard. So if you feel guilty about it, one, I would encourage you to pick a partner who who encourages you to grow, right? Who encourages you to be the best you possible. Um, because a lot of times, like even for what we do, man, like when I coach, coaching is not cheap, man.
Mm.
It's not cheap, but like the amount of men who have showed up to one of the retreats that we do or whatever, because their partner, spouse, girlfriend said, "Yo, you need to do this." It's a lot. It's a lot of them, and those are usually the guys who actually have the biggest breakthroughs too. Um, and so I think that's number one. I just couldn't say enough, man. Like I think that your ability to take risk and do things is kind of what's predicated on your life growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I tell people as far as time is concerned. Um, it's about being ruthlessly present and not spending every moment together.
Mm.
Right. So if you're talking about a relationship, I would rather be ruthlessly present with my lady than I would to spend 24 hours of just nothing with her. Right.
Right.
And so the example here is like the stats say most couples spend 2 hours a night together after all the shenanigans are done, chores or whatever the thing is.
Really?
Um, yeah, it's like two and a half, something like that if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah, if you're
you know,
lucky, yeah, even that.
I was
Right.
about to say,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, if you're lucky and you don't have a bedtime, right? Like,
Right. Right.
you probably get 2 hours. But anyway, so we think about that, right? But then you think about all the other moments in the day when you wake up and you're making your coffee or you're getting your breakfast or whatever the thing is, and you're on your phone and she's on her phone, or you're on your phone and she's doing whatever.
Yeah.
That's 10 minutes. 10 times 365. I don't do math in public, man, but
Right.
it's that
What is it,
probably it
Paul?
probably it probably adds up to more than 2 hours,
Yeah.
right? And so that those are nuggets that you're missing. And so I would rather be ruthlessly present with my partner because just to be 100% real, and I don't mind saying it out loud, man. Like, I was a terrible husband in my first marriage, and that was one
Wow.
of the ways where I wasn't was because I was a guy as a workaholic, as an obsessive man, and I am a truly obsessive man.
Yeah.
Where that thing was so important to me, I would be like, well, we can just wait till vacation,
Mm.
right? But if you add up all the time, all those little times, all those 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you add them all up and you add them up and do by 365, it's more than that 14-day vacation.
So
And even if
it
go ahead,
balances out. I was gonna say it
yeah, I
balances
think
out.
it balances.
Yeah.
I think so, and even if it doesn't, it keeps the tank full longer.
Hey. Hey.
And I ain't got to, and
Yes, sir.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
I would just say that, man. And I think if you can apply that principle to and zoom out and apply it to everything, I think that's the way it works, right? Because uh, you can't get away from risk, man. You can't nerf the world.
Mm.
You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't nerf the world. And so, like, I think it's about your capability and gaining confidence. And I think it's interesting. Not to go on a rant real quick, but like I never think of things as confidence. I never think of myself as confident. I always think of myself as, or I always think of the thing as how many reps is this going to take to get good.
Go in
I
on that,
never
man.
once
Go
have.
in on that.
So I never like I have guys a lot of
Sales.
times
That's a
ask me like,
sales
how
message.
did how did you?
Yeah.
I have guys a lot of times they'll be like, well, how did you get so confident at this? And I was like, I never once think in terms of confidence.
Mm.
I always think in terms of like if it takes 100 reps to get good, then like how fast can I get this 100 reps done?
Nah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How comfortable can I be failing in public?
Mm.
Right? Um, and I think that's more of the way I look at things because and to be a real man, this is, and it sounds funny, but I've been delusional since I was 16, man. Right? But I'm also firmly rooted in supporting my delusion. Right. And so I'm willing to be obsessive about that. And I mean that to like a T where like, I think people don't understand like it's easier to be obsessed than it is to be moderate.
Mm.
I wake up in the morning and I got one task: to be obsessed with this goal.
Yeah.
But
I
not
don't have I
everybody
don't have
thinks like that, though, man. Not everybody
no,
No,
thinks like that.
I think that's
they don't.
development.
But I do realize that you can adopt pieces of that,
Mm.
Yeah.
right? And so like maybe you don't want to be obsessed, man. Maybe you do like a balanced life, which kudos to you. No judgment there. But what I would say is you can, instead of worrying about if you're confident or not, you can worry about that you do enough reps,
I,
right?
Practice, makes the confidence appear.
Well,
Once you once you're
one of
familiar
the
with
things we did with
something.
my bad.
Oh no, I'm saying once you're familiar with something, that's what creates the confidence.
Yeah, I think once you
yeah.
cross the line once, it's always easier to cross the line a second time,
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
When when I put my youngest boy and my youngest girl in taekwondo, not because I think taekwondo is a wonderful martial art or some shit like that. I put them in
Which is
taekwondo
not.
because they test it.
It's
They test
not.
them. They test them and they test them and they test them and they test them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what it did is, I think my boy failed his first one and my girl failed her second one. And
Mhm.
what it did was it was immediate feedback to a little kid that like if I don't practice, I don't get good.
Mm.
Mhm. It's the truth.
And so my son, I watch him be obsessive. Now I watch him understand that like if I don't practice, I don't get good. Right.
Mm.
And then my daughter, I watch her understand that too, but I also she watches him to make sure he knows it so she can learn it from him.
Mm.
And so, I think that that's the zoom out. It's like, how do you apply those aspects to your life? Maybe you don't want to be obsessive, but maybe your risk tolerance is lower than mine, but that doesn't mean you can't mitigate risk, right? Like if we're talking investments and we're talking about actual investments, maybe I can learn everything I need to learn about semiconductors so I can invest in, what is it, Taiwan Semiconductor Group, right?
Right. That's a calculated risk now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's a calculated risk, and that's my point, right? Like maybe I need to learn about livestock and chicken feed and how that works as far as uh, the seasonal cycles go. So now
Yeah.
I can invest in something in Tyson's Farms or whatever the thing is, man. And so,
Mhm.
um, and I think the last thing, and the way I kind of look at it is this: is like the internet is for more than cat videos and porn, right? And here's the two things that I tell people all the time. You can get on the internet right now and you can Google how to get abs and how to make money and save money. And I can tell you two things that almost nobody has: money and abs. So
Because
you know what I'm saying? So
it's
like,
not about watching it or reading it, man. It's about getting out there and doing it.
And
That's what
doing
it's
it.
about.
I
and,
like it. You can't
yeah,
just research everything.
you're gonna get scuffed up, man. Like that's just the reality of life.
Yeah.
And the other part I think too is like if you can future cast your scuff up, it also becomes part of a story that's not boring. Nobody needs a we don't need another Stepford story. We don't
Mm.
need another perfection story, right? Like nobody cares. Like
Yeah.
if you think about it, all the stories, all the movies, all the things we like. What's the Will Smith movie that everybody loves? Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a perfect story. He didn't wake up and build a business at 5 and then turn into a billionaire. We wouldn't watch that movie.
Mm.
Nobody gives a shit.
Mm.
So like
Probably
your
like
scuff
Batman.
ups. Yeah, I mean, yo,
Batman had a
I'm a
messed up
Batman
story though.
fan, but the rest of DC can kick it. But for real, but for real though, like I do mean it. Like like if you can future cast your story, and I think sometimes you got to have a little bit of romanticism in your life, and including in the shitty parts, in order to make it workable and wearable. Like right, like my life has not been grand. It's pretty dope now. Like, don't get me wrong, it's pretty dope now, but it got there through a lot of like muck and mire. Um, and that's okay. And I think that that's part of your story, and being able to own that, and being able to own that, like you sucked at three businesses, and your fourth one was a hit. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like a relationship, right? Like almost none of us go through one woman and then get the perfect one.
Right.
But once you only got to get, but you only got to get it right one time.
We're not gonna talk about how many it took, though. We're not
Hey,
gonna talk about how many
hey,
it took.
I uh,
Yeah,
Practice
yeah.
makes perfect, guys. That's what we're talking about, man. Practice makes perfect. Let's not forget.
but for real, you know what I mean. It is one of those things though that you know what I'm saying. You only got to get it right once. Same thing,
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
You know, and I think the last piece for me personally, and this has kind of been a big thing for me, is like to remember that there is the best games and the best way to kind of live life is to remember like the coolest things have no end. It's why I
Mm,
fell in love with jujitsu. It's why if you're really talking about true fitness, like there's no you don't win fitness.
Yeah, you
It
don't
doesn't
stop.
end.
It's an everyday thing.
mm. Wow,
Yeah, you
that's
know,
big.
and business is the same thing. You don't win business, no matter what they tell you. You don't win business.
Yeah,
You know, right? Like
A
it's
lot
to
of
keep the
people do
business
think
going.
that, and that's why they'll accumulate a lot of wealth, and then next a year or two later, it's gone. It's out the window because they think they made it, and it's time to stop. And then no, it's never a time to stop. A lot of the wealthiest people never retire. They never retire.
yeah. You,
It,
you
it
you
becomes
keep
a
moving.
purpose. It's a drive. It's an unbalance. Um, it's an obsession, a desire, a passion is what they live for. I know guys who, including myself, I was working in the hospital, because that's what was motivating me to get healthy, right?
Mm.
So, it's I know guys who, um, it's like, man, dude, you're 70, 74 years old, 75 years old. You should let these young bucks work. And they're like, no, I'm gonna stay here behind the desk and work. This is what my purpose is. It's very unbalanced, and that's what and I wanted to talk about is relationships. The passion of a lot of entrepreneurs usually leaves an unbalanced relationship. How do we as entrepreneurs handle that knowing that there's that significant other there waiting for us to finish our passion projects, finish our careers, our jobs, to come home to them. How does that work? How do we make a healthy relationship out of being entrepreneurs or even successful driven people? It doesn't even mean
I
entrepreneurs like you. In other words, Hanse, it's not something that you take 5 minutes out of your day to hit the gym. I mean, that's something that you're gonna have to. You want to hit
it's
a
everything.
100 pounds more than you did the other, last year. It's going to take you about a year to get to bench 100 pounds more. In other words, right?
Okay,
Um,
so I'll
how
give you
how does
mine.
that work?
So first of all, I'll say this, right? This is a treasure map, not directions, right?
Mm.
Um, and so that's my buddy, my partner Elliot always says that. He said, "I can give you a treasure map, but I can't give you directions," right? And so,
Mm.
um, what I would tell you is this, man. I think, and this is something I just learned recently, man. And by recently, I mean in the last 4 or 5 years. One is who you're picking, right? I think some of us don't. I don't want to say luxury because that's not what I mean. But some of us are in what we're in, so that's different. But I think there's also a level of being honest with yourself, right? And having indicators of when it's done, right? Because some of us do want to work 18 hours so we can say we worked 18 hours. That's just as real as I can be with you. Because
Right.
sometimes you ain't really working 18 hours. Some days you are in high gear and you are throwing down 12 to 18 hours worth of work and whatever. And then there's some days where you're playing 18 hours. And I think you got to be
Yeah.
honest with yourself, right? And so that's number one. Number two is, as I go back to it, is to be ruthlessly present and make sure that your partner knows that is the same thing, right? That you have to both be on the same wavelength. Phones away. This is a no phone time, right? Like it's okay to both be on your phone if that's what we choosing, and we also understand what the schedule is, right? Like my lady has a schedule. She knows what the schedule is. She knows what's going down. Like this is what I'm doing today. Is whatever, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And if we actively choose that, then that's cool. But if we know that we only have 20 minutes today of like clean, we're both not tired time, then we have to choose each other. I think the other thing too is like I think subtraction's underrated. And what I mean by that is the world pushes you to add, right? And this is from a Derek Sievers article. Derek Sievers is a real slick author. Um, and he has this little article called Subtract. And he's like, the world pushes you to add, but most of the gifts in life can be found when you subtract. And so what I mean by that is maybe Deadpool and Wolverine have to wait, right?
I'm not
Maybe that
watching
has to
it.
wait till
I'm just I'm not watching it.
you know, you know. So, but no, but for real though, like maybe it waits till my next flight, right?
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever that is for you, it might not be a movie because maybe you and your lady do movies together. Um, but I think those are the things like we have to kind of like lay the groundwork and foundation for is like, and then the other thing too is man, there's expectations and chapters, right? And I think this is something that we're bad at. Our people are bad at too, man. And this is the thing, like you said earlier, and I meant to hit on it, but I didn't. Was like knowing if you really do know yourself, it's also knowing where you're weak and you suck, right? And so being able to delegate, and sometimes that delegation is also your partner stepping in and saying, "Yo, here it is,"
I got it. Yeah.
right? And then you being able to be on point enough to know that like this person's got your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to foul you up. They're not saying like whatever. And so I think those are all kind of the deals, man. But it's like um that's how I look at it. That's how we play it. Like you know, and it works. It works well. But and also just having a partner who knows who you are. Like I make it really clear to people. I'm obsessive. I make it real clear, like, yo, this I don't know, I don't have another button. So
It's
don't
obsessive.
try and change.
That's knowing
Yeah, don't try.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean too is that it's saying that it's like I want my person to make me better, not change me. Right?
It's,
I'm already going to be making me better.
it's funny that you say that because Oksana says get someone who's also driven and gets it. A supportive partner is a must for an entrepreneur. I
I think
think
so.
that goes anywhere. You want to be with someone that supports you. You want that support. I'm gonna run through. I'm gonna list off these common pitfalls, right? When it comes to investing, common pitfalls. I got 3 of them, and this can go for anything. It's list out financial, but it can go for anything, right? Getting rich quick mentality, or getting the results right now. I like to say, the you know, the running joke is this new generation is like the microwave, right? Microwave generation. Want everything quick. You want it instantly. But the best food is cooked in the oven, right? So getting it quick. Fear of missing out or FOMO, right? And then perfectionism, waiting for it to be a perfect, right? Waiting for the moment to be perfect to start, perfect to invest. Perfectionism. I think I'm butchering that word, but those are common pitfalls to avoid when it comes to investing in yourself or investing in anything, things that you want to look out for. Will Morris said, I told you, Paul, I said, when you watch the playback, Will Morris said the setup is fire. So I appreciate it, Will. I appreciate it.
Dope.
Appreciate it. But yeah, man. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? You guys want to say something else to the people before we get out of here? My common pitfalls. That's what I want to say to y'all before I get out of here. don't get caught up in that when it comes to investing in yourself, man.
Yeah, I like to say,
Oh,
stay away from that the get rich quick mentality when it comes to entrepreneurship. Um, I know one of the things that helped me out was having a conversation with my late great uncle. Um, he was at the time that I started under his mentorship. He was in business for like 30 years, and he told me, he said, Paul, um, you gotta be good to your future self now. He's like, make sure you're doing things now the right way, keeping your nose clean, paying attention to your brand, so that you can still be operational 30 years from now, right?
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
So at the time, and that's why I'm still here now, almost after 15, close to 15 years of working, is because I kept that in mind and kept that in heart, and it kept my nose clean, because I knew, like, it's not about right now. All money isn't good money. Let's do things the right way. Um, you know, because I want to see myself in this position or in a better position. Here's what I project for myself, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. So let me do what I got to do now so that I can get there 10, 15 years from now. It's scary when I see people who have that mentality, that because if they might be struggling, they might need the money, but they jump into the entrepreneurship, the business, the venture, thinking that it's going to come instantly. Now, you want some money to come in, don't get me wrong, you want business to make sense, but
Yeah.
as far as abundance of wealth in a short time period, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's rare. Anything can happen, but it's rare. It's baby steps, man. And then after you get the baby steps going, you can start, picking up the pace. And the next thing you know, you're running marathons like Hanse over here. This guy is unbelievable, I swear. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on that, and I'll leave it with that.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, that is true. Um, so yeah, we appreciate y'all so much for tuning in, man. Thank y'all so much for watching this Beyond the Hustle. Make sure you reach out. He's tagged. I tagged him in the post, man. Check out his merch. What's the website? I want to drop the website in the comments.
right now I said, well, it's easier if you just go to my Instagram because we're redoing
Okay.
everything. So that's the easiest way I could tell you because we're running it through our print shop right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yep.
That's what's up. Warpath. Warpath. I like that. I like that. Thank y'all so much for tuning into another episode of Beyond the Hustle. Tax season is right around the corner. Y'all already know what I'm about to say. Hit up my man Paul Rene, man, taxmoney123.com, because you want to make sure it's right. And if you are in business, you got a business, a brand, you're an entrepreneur, you want to make sure those are taken care of. So hit him up. He can help you with your business taxes and things like that too. Paul, you help set up LLCs too as well?
Yes, sir. I can help you guys set up LLCs, corporations, from S corps to C corps. You just let me know. Give me a buzz, and we'll find the right strategy for you. Um, but yeah, that's something that we talk about all the time. I want to plug in Hanse. Yes, if men out there, if you guys need any coaching, he's the guy to go to. I forgot to mention earlier, he's a safari hunter over here. He could take you on safari tours out there in Australia. I mean, with a crossbow. I mean, what isn't this guy doing? Unbelievable. But as you
Yeah.
can tell from the conversation, this is going to be an episode that I'm going to watch probably over and over again, because I like having conversations with him, and of course with you. And these are the type of things that I need to remind myself,
Yeah.
even as an entrepreneur, to get me through the day at times. So no, I really really do appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you coming on too, man.
Yes. Thank you so much,
Please,
man.
and let's do it again some other
Yeah.
time. A couple more episodes down the road, man.
Yeah,
For real.
yeah. Appreciate you for joining us for this conversation. Thank y'all so much for watching Beyond the Hustle. And we will see y'all next week, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Thank y'all so much. We'll see y'all next week. Deuces. Enjoy. Yeah.